I'm not a writer.
Okay. All right. How's it going? You know who it is. It's JL, the Anti-Guru, and we always start with a little music. So let's turn this down just a little bit. I got a special guest for you guys tonight, this evening. A friend of mine, her name is Christine Jones. She's a financial expert, and I've invited her on. So let's go ahead and stop the music and see if we can get her to come on. No, that's not it. All right, Christine, are you there yet? All right, got you on. I sent you an invitation. You should be able to come on. Okay, I'm going to bring you on now. Wait a minute. Still working on this thing. Okay. So we're adding you in now. All right. So it's adding you right now. Hopefully we'll get the screen in here so they can see you. Come on, phone. Do what I need you to do. There we go. There we go. How are you?
Hi.
Can you hear me? Okay?
I am actually. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
I'm wonderful. Thank you so much. This is going to be amazing.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I've been trying to get you on here for what, almost over a month now.
Yes. I'm sorry. My schedule is so crazy.
I know. You are a woman of many talents and doing great things. But listen, guys, I just want to tell you a little bit about Christine. We've been friends on Facebook for a while, but she's more than just a friend. She's my kindred spirit. She is an entrepreneur and an outstanding woman. Oh, also, she is a teacher, so you need to bow down and give her some honor because she deals with y'all's children. But, you know, I've been trying to bring you on here for a while. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself and tell us how you got started in financial services?
Well, sure. So as you mentioned, I am a teacher by profession. I am going into my 22nd year of teaching. I teach middle school. So at this point, I have 7th grade English language arts and social studies. But to the credit issue, you know, when I first got started, I was in my early 20s. And I had the misconception that because I hadn't made any blurbs with my credit, that my credit was fine. What I didn't realize was that your score can be extremely low because you have no credit history at all. So when I checked my score, I was shocked because my score was in the low fives.
Wow.
And I was like, oh my goodness, I didn't do anything established.
We got a little freeze.
Credit. We're back?
Yeah, we're back. And we're back.
Yeah, we're back. And we're back. Okay. So what I had done wrong, though, was that I had no credit history at all.
Right.
And so from that point on, you know, for several years, I just tried to see what I could do. Later on in life, though, I actually got the opportunity to actually learn about credit and sort of become actually an expert in the area. And so that's where I am now. So what I just want to do is make sure that people don't suffer what I suffered. It's unnecessary. But it does hold your life back.
Right.
So we want to make sure that people don't make the mistakes that I've made. But you know what? Sometimes God allows you to go through things so that other people don't make those mistakes and you can be a blessing for them.
Definitely. So definitely. You got common credit tips you can share with us. On wealth building. I know Christine agreed with me that credit is one of the essential components of wealth building. So I'm going to do more talking. Hey, Robin, appreciate you coming in. So we're going to give you the to educate us on what these credit tips.
Okay, so what I just decided to do was to take a look at some of the common credit tips that people are actually getting. So if they were just to do a simple Google, which a lot of times people do, they're going to get these credit tips. And they're good, but they're not as simple as they may seem. And so I just wanted to make sure that I clarify some misconceptions so that people know how these things actually work. So one thing is obviously to, pay your bills on time, right? And that seems like it's cut and dry. However, there are times when you just don't have it to pay a bill. Well, that's not the end. Talk to the creditor. A lot of times creditors are willing to work with you. They just want to hear from you. Now, if you just go ahead and don't pay your bill, what you're going to do is probably establish a lateness, which on your credit score can actually be up 50 to 110 points off of your credit score. And the thing is, the higher your credit score when you start, the more damage it will do if you have a lateness. So someone who has a low credit score to begin with, the damage won't be as great. But if you were very meticulous in how you took care of your credit and you have that blurb, your score is going to suffer a great loss. So pay your bills on time, yes, but if you get into some difficulty, talk to your creditor. Oftentimes what they will do, especially if it's an installment loan, and I'll talk a little bit more about what that is later, but if it's an installment loan, what they may do is take that payment and push it to the end of the loan so that you don't miss a payment. They just pushed it to the end of the loan, and then they'll give you a new date when that is due. Now, even with that, talk to them and see whether or not they report that, though, as sort of a missed payment, because they may tell you that they've moved it back, but they still may record that you haven't made a payment for that month. So you still want to talk to creditors. All right. Number two, set up automatic payments. Now, automatic payments are great, and sometimes companies will give you incentives to do that so that they don't have to worry about when your payment is coming out, and neither do you. However, please make sure the money is in the account. If you don't make sure, right? If you don't make sure that the money is in the account, a couple of things can happen. Number one, your bank can go ahead and pay it, but then they're charging you, for this overdraft, which you don't want. Now, yeah, right. Now, by the way, Wells Fargo has something where if you have an overdraft and you're expecting a direct deposit the next day, they'll forgive that overdraft, but you don't want to get into that habit. Now, if you set up automatic payments and the money's not in there and the bank decides not to pay it, then you're back in the lateness zone, right? So now you have another issue. So please just make sure. And a lot of people just don't realize that you just have to stay on that as well. Number three, don't carry an unnecessary balance. When you're talking about credit cards and things like that, if you can pay them down, please do so as much as you can pay per month. Because what happens is anything that is left over from, your balance is going into the next month, and that's where your interest rates come in. And a lot of times we're paying hundreds and thousands of dollars in interest fees, and that's soaking up money that we could actually be using to further our dreams and our purposes. So, please be careful with that, but also make sure that you know a company's policy on your usage, because a lot of people think, okay, I'll pay it down and I'll have a zero balance. And then you look up and your account is closed, right? So companies sometimes want you to, spend a certain amount. It may be that you have to use the card twice a year, whatever it is, but know the individual company's policies, because they're going to stick by their policies. And even if you didn't read them, you're bound by them. Okay, so let's make sure that we have that taken care of. Number four, they say don't check your credit score each month. Now, I can somewhat agree with that, but then there's this. If you have not signed up for a credit monitoring service, how else are you going to know if there's some strange things going on with your credit? And in this day and age, things are happening rapidly, even to the biggest companies, and you want to know. So, I understand what they're saying. Sometimes it takes a minute for things to show up on your credit report. I get that. But if you're not going to check, then you probably need to have some sort of credit monitoring service so that via text message or email, you're getting that information. Hey, did you make this purchase? Hey, did you have this inquiry? So that you at least know what's going on some way, somehow with your credit report. Because once the damage is done, it could be quite a long, drawn out haul trying to fix that. All right. Number 5, don't be afraid to increase your credit limit. Now, I know that they used to say, the more available credit you have, the more likely it is that you're going to get into debt. And so sometimes, creditors look at that, which can be true. However, the higher your credit limit, the more likely it is that your usage, if you're smart, won't get as high. So for example, let's say that you have a $500 credit limit and you're using 250. Well, your utilization is going to be 50%, which is too high. That's where you're going to lose points. However, if you ask the creditor to raise that limit to say $1,000, now it depends on how good your credit score is looking at the time, what they'll do, and they will have to do a hard pull, so you may lose a few points there. But if they do this credit pull and find that they can raise it $1,000 and you keep that 250, then that 250, which was 50% of 500, is now only 25% of that 1,000. So just by increasing your credit, the available credit, you have lowered your utilization to below the 30% rate. And now your score looks pretty good because now that's going to help add some points to your score. Is that making sense?
Oh yeah.
Is that making sense?
I did that myself.
All right. Okay, see, so that's wonderful. Now, number 6, ask for a lower interest rate. Some people think that as long as the bank, the creditor sets an interest fee, that you have to keep it. Well, ask. You have not because you ask not. And sometimes they won't tell you, oh, ask us. But if you just ask them, say, listen, I've been a good client, a good customer. You can check my history, etc. What do you have available for me? Sometimes there are things sitting right there ready for your account that they're just waiting for you to ask for. And if you ask for that, lower interest fee, which again could save you hundreds or thousands of dollars, they may just say, okay. The worst they can actually say is no. That's it. But right? So, sometimes we have to learn to be okay with a no, because that's the worst that can happen. But the best that could happen is they say yes, and then that's money in your pocket or your bank account each month that you've saved. Number 7, do not close accounts. Now, I know a lot of times people are quick to say, oh, I have too many accounts, so let me close them. You're losing quite a bit of good information on your credit report. So you're losing the length of credit history, and you are losing your payment history. So you are losing, major percentage points from those accounts that you're closing. So you're closing accounts and you're wondering why your score is dropping. Well, because when they factor in the length of history that you've had those accounts, especially if they were your longest standing account and they were in good standing, you've just wiped that out. And once you have them take that off, obviously they're not reopening them. So you've just kind of lost that. Now there's a problem. Number 8, only open accounts when necessary. So, while having, mix of credit and all that is good, if you don't need to open accounts, don't do it, because then you run the risk of just using them because they're there. That's a problem. But now, if you know that something's going to drain the actual cash from your accounts, and you know that you have a big purchase that needs to be made, then it may be worth getting and opening an account so that you can shift that payment to an account where you can actually pay monthly and save the cash in your accounts. A lot of people don't realize that, especially with savings accounts, banks are quick to want to close them if you go over the federal any electronic payments you can make from a savings account. But they're doing that because the monthly amount of money that you keep in your account, they pay you interest on savings accounts. So that you're making you're asleep even. And if they're for a savings account, then they're able to save that money on their end. So the thing is, you want to try to keep as much money in your accounts as you can, especially if it's a savings account, because that's helping you add funds. Check your online accounts. And so when I say that, look at your bank accounts and make sure that you have established them online so that you can go in and check on a dime, because you'll be surprised. You'll look up and there may be some money that's been added to your account. Well, check. It may be, if it's a savings account, that you got interest fees put into your account because the banks owe you. So that also goes to what I just said about, making sure that, you have this understanding of making accounts available for you and not opening accounts if you don't have to, but keeping enough money in your banking accounts so that if you need to make a big purchase, shift it to a credit card so that you have available
Right.
cash. Hopefully that makes
Well,
sense. Yeah,
Christina and
go ahead.
Alicia Thomas just said hello, Queen. And Diane Carroll said hello, everyone. They must be friends of yours.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much. I see a couple of people. As far as this kind of forum is concerned, I'm kind of, if I don't respond to you like directly, please don't be offended. But it's like freezes kind of every time, and I don't want to mess up so that anybody loses the value of this, especially with Mr. Bunbury being nice enough to have me
Oh, you
on.
need to stop. You're doing me a favor.
No, seriously, seriously.
All right. All right. Well, you got one more, right? One more tip?
So I have actually two more.
Okay.
Focus on revolving debts. Now, so revolving debts are your things like your credit cards, and you have installments, which are things that are already like they're set for a certain time period, like your mortgage or your car loan. Now, here's the thing. If you focus on paying down your revolving debts, those like your credit cards, then what's going to happen is it goes back to what we talked about earlier. The more you pay them down, the more money you'll actually be saving because those interest fees won't necessarily be accruing. But again, make sure that you're looking at the policy of the individual company so that you're not getting yourself to a zero balance and then they close it for some reason. And then number 10, check your credit report once a year. Now, I know we talked about, not checking them too often, but once a year is the suggestion. Now, again, I like to check it a little bit more than that. That's the suggestion online. But if you're going to check, you actually have a right to a free credit report from each of the major credit bureaus. Now, I say that because I don't think people know there are multiple credit bureaus. We only ever deal with TransUnion, Experian, and Equifax. Those are the three major ones. But there are multiple ones floating around out there. But the major lenders use those three. And so you can get a free credit report once a year from each one. And that's going to be from annualcreditreport.com. And you're going to want to do this because 1 in 5 people have major errors on their credit reports and they never know.
Right.
You may be paying for someone else's life mistakes on your credit
Right.
report.
Well, Christine, I appreciate you coming on and sharing that information with us and with my viewers and whatnot. Do you have a website or a way that people might be wanting to connect with you or contact you to get some more information from you?
Absolutely. So I have a couple of websites. The one for the overall umbrella of my business, Clear Choice Financial Solutions, LLC. You can simply go to clearchoicefinancialsolutions.com. If you simply want the credit element, we made it easy for you, clearchoicecreditsolutions.com. Either one of them, you can get major information about credit. However, the first one that I gave you, we have a lot of other services. So if you need identity monitoring, if you need self-lender, if you need another type of secured card, we have all those things available for you. So you can check all those things out there. Okay?
Great, great, great. Well, listen, I know you're busy, and I've got, I also am a caregiver. My mom lives with me, and got to tend to her. But I just want to thank you so much for coming on.
And thank you.
And maybe we can get you on again for something else. I like to do my lives a couple of times a week, but maybe we'll come back on another Saturday when you're free. Because guys, she is a super woman. She's a teacher. She
Oh,
teaches
thank
your lovely little children. She cares for her parents. She runs these businesses. She just does everything, and she's beautiful on top of that. And she can sing, y'all.
you. Oh, thank you.
So I'm gonna let you go,
Oh, thank
guys. I'll chat with you a little bit in probably the next 10 or 15 minutes to let you know
you. Sure.
some other things after we get off. And I just want to say
Okay.
thank you once again.
And thank you so much.
Yeah, definitely. We froze up again. Well, yeah, but and then we're back. Well, you're welcome. Even though you
Yeah,
freeze, you must be just so cool over there.
maybe, right? As they say in Frozen, though, let it go, right? So we have to let that go. I've got to learn how to do, the tech thing like this and let all of that freezing go. That's not a
Well,
good thing.
it could be your Wi-Fi speed, your internet speed, could be a lot of things. But I'm a
Yeah,
techie guy, so when you run into these techie problems, hit me up. I might be able to help you. I might
I
not.
sure will.
You know.
I sure
All right.
will.
Well, listen, I'm gonna end this
Oh,
live, guys. I appreciate you. If you need to get up with Christine, just go to is it Clear Choice
Choice Financial Solutions.
Solutions.com. And look her
Yes,
up if you're looking for your credit things. It's Career Choice Credit Solutions, and
creditsolutions.com.
look
Yes.
her up. She's a wonderful person. She'll give you a straight shot. She's not going to sugarcoat it. She's going to tell you how it is. All right, guys. I appreciate everybody who came on with us live. If you're catching this on the replay, put hashtag replay, and we will see you next Monday. And remember my motto: if you want to, what is it? Oh, I got a brain freeze. See, you're so cool. You froze my brain. If you want
Oh,
something you've never had, you have to become someone you've never been. All right, we love you. Peace. Later, Christine.
oh, bye
Bye
bye.
bye.
Bye bye. Thank
You're,
you. Bye
you're
bye.
welcome.